Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. Let's take you to this piece now. Are you better off now than under apartheid? This is a question that was posed by columnist Jonathan Jansen. He's written...
And guys, what is your answer? What is your answer to this question? Especially to the people who have actually experienced apartheid. I'm not talking about the people who have read about apartheid. Me, I'm choosing to stay on the side on this one because I did not experience apartheid. I'm reading about apartheid. I'm watching documentaries about apartheid, but I did not experience apartheid myself. So I'm not going to come here and start saying how bad things were in apartheid or what. But I'm trying to hear from people who actually experienced apartheid. Are you guys better off today than under apartheid? What is your answer?
Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. Let's take you to this piece now. Are you better off now than under apartheid? This is a question that was posed by columnist Jonathan Jansen. He's written an interesting piece on the worsening power crisis and the ailing state of the country's infrastructure, among other pressing issues. Jansen is with us now virtually and he joins us to unpack his column. Thank you very much, Mr. Jansen, for your time here on ENCA. And I'm sure when you wrote this column and you pressed send, you knew that there'd be mixed reaction from South Africans, most of them quite angry. Just explain to us, exactly what you mean when you say that are you really better off now than you were under apartheid?
And one thing you need to realize is that most of the time, people who are outraged, people who are out there on social media criticizing, are people who don't even take time to read some of these columns. Someone just sees an article, or maybe you are on Twitter, you are starting seeing people criticizing someone maybe for writing a column, simply asking a question, are you better off now than under apartheid? That doesn't mean that you are an apartheid apologist, but that's how people actually process this kind of news. You cannot say anything about apartheid. You cannot even question people about apartheid. That's how people actually see it. That's why every time when columns like these ones are actually written, there will always be outrage. People will not actually read the column and actually try to understand the context of the column. No, that's not how people will not read the column. They are not reading the columns. Instead, they are simply jumping to conclusions that no, there's no way someone can write a column asking this type of question. This person, it means that this person is an apartheid apologist, or this person, man, he's sponsored by white monopoly capital. Instead of simply reading the column and saying, okay, after reading the column, this is what I concluded from reading the column. But unfortunately, most of the people who are actually outraged whenever these kind of columns are actually written are people who don't actually read the columns. Because people who read the columns, they will actually make their arguments and say, no, I do not agree that I'm better off now than under apartheid because of these reasons, or I believe that I'm better off now than under apartheid because of these reasons. This is how people who actually take time to read the columns actually respond to these kind of things. But people who do not even bother to read the columns are the ones you will find them outraged on social media. Most of the time, these people actually didn't even read the column.
Look, let me just clarify first of all. All my articles draw fire from and support, so that's not unusual. It goes with the territory of your columnist. Secondly, it is so obvious that we are better off in terms of our civil and political rights, and I say that in the article. You're no longer getting harassed by police. You're no longer being tortured in prison. You have the right to vote. Blah blah blah. So in that sense, of course, we are better off. Secondly, the question is not, are you worse off? So I'm very conscious of the fact that there are people still living in shacks, still having to work horrendous hours, still being abused in the workplace and all of that. The question is not, are you worse off, are you better off? And by better off, I was referring...
And it's the truth, man. Just imagine, majority of the people in the country are poor. Majority of the people in the country are poor. So when it comes to actually their lives, when they have to look into their lives, the people who live in the shacks, there's no difference from now in apartheid. The fact that today these people, man, are living in the shacks, it's even worse in democracy. Especially for people who live in the shacks, it's worse that, man, in democracy, today we don't have the houses. We don't have the houses. It's even much worse. It's even much worse. Do you think that the people who live in the shacks can tell you that, man, things are better today than they were under apartheid? There is no difference from those people. And those people, man, there is many of them in South Africa. Majority of the people in the country, man, they are poor. Majority of the people in the country, they are poor. So I don't know how these people, man, would actually answer that question. I don't know how they would answer that question, man. If you really have to look at the things, some of the people, man, have lost their jobs in this democracy. Some people were working during apartheid, but after this democracy, they lost their jobs. So what do you think that person is going to say? How many people have actually lost their jobs in this democracy? Do you think those people, man, have nice things to say about the democracy and this ANC democracy? Those people, they don't have any nice thing to say about this democracy. They lost their livelihoods. There's nothing good to report. There's nothing good to report.
In the article, things like, do your children have access to better schools, better education, better results than under apartheid? Do you have better access to health facilities? Do you have better sense of safety and security? Now, if you're middle class like me and you, the answer is, of course, we're better off. But I wasn't speaking about us. I'm speaking about many South Africans who don't feel a sense of safety. And I give examples there. So the person running a small restaurant in Soweto who had to close the restaurant because of load shedding and the inability to afford generators, that person isn't better off in an economic sense. And that was the point I was making.
Mr. Jansen, some people, ask the question, are you an apartheid apologist?
Of course. Of course. That question, man, you should expect that kind of a question, man. You should expect people, man, to skip through your article or your column. You should expect people to skip through everything and simply ask you one question. Are you a apartheid apologist?
No, look, if people don't read the article and if they refuse to think, then I don't think I should glorify that kind of stupidity with nonsense.
Well, the argument is, couldn't you criticize the current government of the day by not mentioning apartheid, something that was a crime against humanity?
I just made the distinction between crime against...
I mean, like, if we have to be honest, what the ANC is doing in the country right now is crime against humanity. It's crime against humanity. I remember I saw a tweet earlier on from some gentleman saying that, man, the ANC government, they need to be dragged to international court for what they are doing to South Africa, man. What the ANC government is doing to South Africa, man, is crime against humanity. The fact that every day, man, every day, tens and tens of people are being murdered in South Africa. I don't want even to talk about these people, man, who force themselves on women. I don't want to, mention that word. But I'm talking about the people who are actually forcing themselves on women. 100 women each and every day. They are the victims of these people. Each and every day, man. You look at children, man. Children are being abducted left, right, and center in South Africa. Left, right, and center in South Africa.
Against humanity, civil and political.
I mean, like, guys, this is crime against humanity. It is crime against humanity. Of course, as South Africans, man, we have freedom of speech. Of course, we can say whatever we want to say. We can vote. The police are no longer running after people and chasing people down and harassing people. Is fine. But are people actually living a better life today? Are people living better today? If you don't want columnists to compare the ANC with the apartheid government because the apartheid was declared crime against humanity, do you think what the ANC is doing right now, it is not crime against humanity? Do you think the ANC government, what they are doing today, it is not crime against humanity? Do you think children dying in pit pilot, it is not crime against humanity? Do you think millions of people losing their jobs because of COVID, it is not crime against humanity? Do you think people dying because of cholera, because the comrades stole the money that were supposed to build the water treatment system, do you think that is not a crime against humanity? I can mention these things the whole day. I can mention what these people are doing the whole day. And I'm here to argue that these people, man, what they are doing to South Africa is crime against humanity. I'm here to argue that these people, what they are doing every day in South Africa, it is treason. It is high treason. Each and every day. So are they different from the apartheid government? I don't know. I already told you guys that I did not experience apartheid firsthand, so I'm not at I cannot say, but I can only speak for my experience right now. I can only speak from experience right now, and looking at what these people are doing, man, I can argue what these people are doing right now to South Africa, it is crime against humanity.
Rights and all of that, and people's day-to-day experience of wellness, of safety, of security. And under apartheid, vice chancellors weren't shot and assassinated or attempted to be assassinated. Under apartheid, as you'll see in the beautiful book called Native Nostalgia by one of our famous writers, I think we need to at least give ourselves the space to think. In what sense? I mean, the people I work with, the schools right now, where I'm working with here in Tembelethu, for example, today in George, a lot of people still don't have access to good schools, still don't have access to a guaranteed place in higher education, still don't have access. So my question is not to the middle classes who are the people who will tend to be upset. My question is to all South Africans. Do you feel that you're better off now than in the closing years of apartheid in terms of access to high quality education, in terms of safety and security? And you must be very brave, unless you live behind a big wall and you have a lot of money and you can access the elite schools. You must be very brave if you're going to say that the answer to that question is yes.
So you said in your article,
And guys, have you realized that often people who live in the middle class are the ones who are quick to be outraged when these topics are being raised? People who can afford the nice things, people who can live fair, they are the ones who are quick to actually criticize when these columns come out. They don't even let majority of the poor people in this country to even state their answers. They are there on social media, especially people in the middle class who are the victims of this racial and identity politics of the ANC. These people, man, are the ones who are quickly to say that you guys are apartheid apologists and all sorts of things, because they are speaking from a point of privilege. They are speaking from a point of privilege. This question, man, goes to the majority of the people in this country. Majority of the people in this country are poor people. This question needs to be answered by the people who are poor, not people in the middle class. People who are poor. Just because you can afford nice things, it doesn't mean that the whole country can afford nice things. This is what people need to understand. Just because you can afford nice things, it doesn't mean that the whole country is living nice. The whole country is not living nice. Whole country is not living nice, man. You need to be tapped in with the reality of the people of this country. The whole country is not living nice. That's why I even consider myself, man, this is a privilege, guys. For us to be on these platforms each and every day, for us to be able to come on these platforms, man, it is a privilege. Because I can tell you today that the majority of the people, man, they do not even have the money to buy the data to be on these platforms. Majority of the people, man, they cannot even fathom spending hundreds and hundreds of rand each and every month simply to buy data to access YouTube. A lot of people do not have that privilege.
in the beginning that you actually had sort of like a mini poll that you did on Twitter by tweeting basically this question, and then there was 11% that disagreed, and then the majority who commented actually agreed to the points you were making. But are you going to make a poll of how people have reacted to your article now? It doesn't seem as though, you know, when I look at the feed, at least, it doesn't seem as though many of them, you know, are on your side when it comes to this article.
I actually, first of all, just a philosophical point. I don't actually care who's on my side or not. You know, I'm old enough now to
people don't agree.
To put a question.
That's what I mean.
That is fine. When I put out a question, you can agree and you can disagree, but don't tell me not to ask the question.
I mean, like, you see, these kind of questions, man, are the kind of questions that should be asked on the townships in the informal settlements. These are the kind of questions that should be asked directly to the people. Because I can tell you today that the people who can afford data to go to Twitter, I mean, these people are not poor. These people are not poor, man. People who can afford data to go to any social media, man, you are not poor. You are not poor. You cannot speak for the poor people, man. If you still cannot, if you still can afford data and some of these things, they are not poor. So it makes sense for them to, first thing, it makes sense for them to be outraged instead of simply engaging with the columns. It really makes sense for them to be outraged, because that's how they think. A lot of South Africans, they think majority of the people in the country, they live the way they live. They are not in touch with the reality. They are not in touch with the reality.
I don't actually care who's on my side or not. You know, I'm old enough now
Well,
to
people don't agree.
put a question.
That's what I mean.
That is fine. When I put out a question, you can agree and you can disagree, but don't tell me not to ask the question.
Yeah.
That seems to me to be anti-democratic, anti-intellectual, anti-everything that people fought for freedom in this country. So if a question scares people, then I think you have to ask, you know, whether we really have a truly open, liberal, democratic society, or one in which even questioning is something in which one shouldn't do. And so there's some ridiculous stuff I've seen, like, would you ask this question of the Holocaust? For heaven's sake, man. I mean, that's now making a non-debate out of what I think should be an interesting public debate. But again, the people I work with every day in the poorest schools, struggling right today, just trying to get people from Zalatemba into a university, and they're saying, we're hungry, we can't eat, there's no food. For those people, are you telling me they're better off than they were in 1994? Give me a break.
No, they are not.
So are you saying they were better off? They would have been better
I'm saying
off?
that, no.
Okay.
I'm not saying.
But he's simply asking the question, why is this lady trying to find a gotcha question? The man simply told you, man, that I'm simply asking a question. I'm not saying this is how I feel, or I'm not saying, no, I'm simply asking a question. Why is this lady trying to do a gotcha? Do you think they would say they are better off? Do you think they would say? He told you that he's simply asking questions. He's simply asking questions. Why are you trying to twist his words? Why are you trying to twist his words? He's simply asking a question. People are not happy with what you said. It doesn't matter if people are not happy with the column. But do not tell the man that he cannot ask a question. He's simply asking a question. But you there at ENCA, you are trying to get a gotcha question. You are trying to trap him. You are trying to corner him. And I don't understand, why the hell are you trying to corner the man who is simply telling you that I'm simply asking questions. I'm simply asking questions. You are trying to corner that man.
I'm saying,
that's why
I'm happy to
we
be
have you
free.
here, so that you can give us clarity, because some people are saying apartheid used to only cater to a minority of the South African population, etc. So that's why we have you here, just to clarify. So are you saying that those people who are living in poor conditions today would have been better off had we still been under the apartheid rule? Okay? Yeah?
He didn't say that. He didn't say that. He didn't say that.
That's a different question. That's a different question. You see, you can't take my question and make it a different question. My question.
She's trying to take this question and turn it into a statement. She's trying to take the question and flip it into a statement. Now it is no longer about what Mr. Jansen said. No, it is about, now you are saying this. No, he is not insinuating anything. He is not trying to say anything. He's simply asking a question. But you are taking that question and simply turning it into a statement. Why the hell are you doing that? Why the hell are you doing that?
Is not that it would have been better under apartheid. That's not what I'm saying. Obviously, the answer to that is no.
Yeah.
My question is, are you better off now? Have things improved for you? Can you access good quality education? Can you literally send your girl child to a shop at 8 o'clock at night and not be scared stiff that something will happen to them? Are you better off or not? In the social sense, in the social services sense, not obviously in terms of the big political and civil rights that we currently enjoy.
All right. Well, thank you, Mr. Jansen, for speaking.
I mean, like, you see, when you have publications like ENCA, I mean, like, you cannot even get to what people are trying to say because of these journalists there at ENCA trying to find a gotcha question, trying to find that viral moment. It doesn't make sense. Like, the man is simply telling you what he's asking. Are you better off now? He's not saying are you worse off or what? Are you better off now? That is the question that he's asking. He's not insinuating anything. He's not insinuating that the people were having good time in apartheid. That's not what he's saying. He's asking that are you better off now than under apartheid? That is the question that he's asking. Are you better off now than under apartheid? That is the question. He is not saying that apartheid was good for the people. He's saying that people who have experienced apartheid, people who are poor in this country, if they have to look back at apartheid and they have to look at their lives today, are they better off today than they were under apartheid? That is the question. That is the question. It was not a statement. The gentleman did not make a statement. He did not insinuate on anything. He's simply asking questions. But ENCA is doing what they know best. Guys, please tell me what you think on the comment sections. Guys, I said especially to the people, man, who have experienced apartheid. I'm stepping on the side on this one. I'm not trying to, I did not experience apartheid. I'm not going to be here outraged or what over apartheid because I did not experience apartheid on the first hand. But this question is for the people who have actually experienced apartheid. Guys, are you better off now than under apartheid? Please tell me what you think on the comment section. Don't forget to hit that like button. And the most important part is subscribe. My name is Thomas Mabaso. I will see you next time. Bye-bye.